In this video, we're going to look at how to navigate through Unreal Engine and explain the workspace and the various windows and where everything is for first-time users.
Hey, welcome to Real-Time Workflows. I'm MX Bell. I worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Wheel of Time, Little Mermaid, No Time to Die, tons more. What you're going to get in the channel are my pro tips and how I use Unreal Engine to make films. So let's get started. Let's make some stuff. See you down the road.
Hey, welcome back to Real-Time Workflows. So, we've done a lesson on the very basics of 3D graphics. We've done a lesson then on how to install Unreal Engine and kind of a bit of the ecosystem about Epic Games and the file structure, things like that. Now, let's create a new project and open it up for the first time and sort of see what you will see when you do that for the first time. So, as you can see, this is as I talked about on the last video, this is the new project window. As I said, I like to start with some stuff. So I'm going to create a first person. I'm going to include starter content. Let's call it let's just call it a new project for now, because why not? And I'm going to choose to put it in my Unreal Engine projects folder and hit create. So this is going to create you an empty project, and when you press play in that project, you play the game. So there's an important distinction with Unreal Engine that it is called the Unreal Engine editor, right? And you can hit play and it plays the game that you're making. If you've ever done any programming, it's basically that it's runtime, right? You just hit play and it runs the thing that you've been making and shows you how it works. Unreal Engine is no different. It is a game. It's built on programming. So right here, as we open this for the first time, we can see up at the top here is this big play button, and if I hit that, this will be a game. Okay, so here we are. I'm using my mouse to control it. It's W to go forward. If you ever played a video game, this is exactly the same thing, right? So it's W to go forward, S to go back, A and D to strafe left and right. Strafe means sidestep. That's game talk for sidestep. And then we can come over here and we can grab the gun and left button to shoot. Okay, it's a game. I think space jumps as well, yeah. So we can we jump on there? Yep. All right, so that's the game, and I hit escape to come back out. Let's take you through what's on screen right now, and then what other windows you're going to need as you open up and as you start to work through Unreal Engine. So, what's on screen is a map, also called a level. If you come from film, you'll think of it as an environment. Any of these terms is fine. Level, I call it level. It's up to you. Over here is the outliner, which is a list of objects that are in this level. And if we click on any of them, down here in the details panel, we will see the details. Now this is where we see the transforms, like we discussed in the Introduction to 3D Graphics lesson. This is where the transforms are, so we can slide these around like that, or we could actually move them with the. This is called a gizmo. Don't know why it's named after a gremlin, but there you go. There's also many more options down here. You'll start to get to know some of these as you work through the engine. The next thing you're going to want is a content browser. So this allows you to look at what's in the project. So we can go in and we can go Content Browser 1. Now you can also get to it by going Control and Spacebar. That was a new thing in Unreal Engine 5. Control and Spacebar to bring it up. I tend to like to have it kind of docked somewhere. And obviously you can use two monitors. I'm only going to use the one because I'm only recording one. So you won't be able to see what was going on. But you can use two. So let's just take a look at what's in this. So this is our content then, right? Currently there's nothing else in here other than what's come with the game. If we were to add some content to this, it would appear here. So if we go to Epic Games Launcher, let's add something that's not very big. Well, let's add Ultra Dynamic Sky actually, because we talked about that. So Ultra Dynamic Sky, would add that to our new project. Add that. Okay, and we can see what it's doing there. Now I've already got that downloaded. It's another reason why I used it, because it'll be nice and quick. Okay, now we can see here that Ultra Dynamic Sky has appeared in our content browser because it's an asset that we just added through the Epic Games launcher. I'm not going to use it right now. I'll tell you about it later. Cinematics, we are going to use this. Okay, so sequencer for sure we're going to use. It tends to be open down here. In order to preview sequencer, I'm going to go and create a new cinematics level sequence just to demonstrate what sequencer looks like. If you're making film, you're going to want to tend to work at 24 frames per second. And this is sequencer. We can add an object to sequencer if we want to animate it. So we just added that object. We could set a keyframe, which means we're going to go through animation down the line, but basically a keyframe is a position in space at a certain time. We can scribble on here to a different time and move it and hit keyframe again. If you've used any 3D software before, then you'll probably want an auto key. I like to have auto key on, which is this button, which basically means that if I delete that keyframe that I just set, you see how it's popped back because it is now set at a keyframe here. But if I now move this, it automatically sets a keyframe because I've moved it. And what that will now do is just move through space as we scrub through. So there'll be a big deep dive. I will do a big deep dive on sequencer because it's my sort of area of expertise, if you like. To be fair, it's not even my area of expertise. Animating cameras and setting up shots and telling stories is my area of expertise. But I do it in here, and we'll get through some of that stuff. But that will come down the line. Let's get these basics out of the way first before we get to the kind of really fun, juicy stuff. Layers and levels I tend to use as well. So we open layers. I don't know what it comes to by default. This is where I tend to dock it. You can add objects to layers and you can then turn them on and off, turn the visibility on and off. You can also use them as selection sets. So you can right click and select actors, and you've set a little collection of actors that you might want to select all at once. Actor, by the way, is just a generic is a term Unreal Engine uses for object in general. And then finally, the other one that I use commonly is levels, which I will also dock up here, and we'll get to that. That details get us into sub-levels. There is a sub-levels video I've already made, but it's probably, if you're working through these, it's a bit too advanced. We're going to get to it in a little while, so don't worry about it yet, but that's where you find levels, and I tend to dock it up there. When we're in level sequencer, we can also click on this button, which is our curves editor. Now, this is not an animation class, but if you know what this is, then great, good for you. You're probably an animator. Now, we will have to get to this, but it's not for this day. But that's where it is. The other thing that I use commonly is I split this window. So if we hit this now in the top right, it splits into 4 windows. Don't want 4, I never want 4. I like 2. I used to, in Maya, I used to use 2 side by 2 stacked on top of each other, like that. Don't know why. And in Unreal, I like to do this. So what I would tend to do here is I'd have a perspective view, and I would have my, again, we're not going to worry too much about this, this is my camera view. Okay, so let's say this is the camera for this shot, and then we see what's happening in the shot, and I've got a window I can work with here that I don't need to be changing the camera view that I've set for that shot. In terms of navigation, exactly like it is when we played the game, WASD will navigate you through the world. It is exactly the same as a video game, and I'm right clicking the mouse button and holding it to move the view. You can also left click and push, and that will move you on a plane. So it's not moving you forward with the in the camera's x-axis, because we've pointed that down, remember. It moves you along on a flat plane, so like a drone almost. It's like a drone shot. And that's just holding the left button and moving the mouse. Middle mouse button will zoom in and out if you've got a scroll. You can also, if you've used 3D software, you can operate it exactly like Maya or 3D Studio Max if you want. So Alt and left click will orbit, and Alt and middle click will pan. Now, if you're a Maya person, and I can't get used to this this is going the wrong way for me. It goes the opposite way. So in editor preferences, I do this every time I start a new project. I come in here and just type invert, and you see there's an invert middle mouse pan there. I turn that on to match basically how Maya works. And that's that. That's Unreal Engine. In terms of navigating, anyway. And all the other stuff we'll get into down the line. So the best thing to do is to open it up, have a play, get used to the feel of it, get used to moving around it, moving objects, adding new objects, adding asset packs, dropping them in, maybe create a sequence. I encourage, don't wait for me to tell you to do something. Do something, break it, don't understand it, and then we'll answer the questions. Like, that's a good way. I find that's a really good way of learning. And the next lesson, we're gonna get out of the engine. Again, I don't want to be too engine heavy all the time. So we're gonna get out of the engine and we're gonna go scan a real life location that you can then bring into the engine and use it to start solving your immediate film problems. For example, where can I put a camera in this fucking space? Which is one of the things I use it for. And I've scanned a couple of environments for my upcoming projects, and I will show you how to get them in and working. So let's go. See you in a bit.